Good day, good day. This is Regina's Rabbit Hole, Siren Buddha Medicine. Much love to you and yours. I'm just waiting a minute. I don't really know how to play the flute, but I love the way it sounds and the way it toots. Good day, beloved. Today, I want to talk about reality. I want to talk about inside out. We're going to talk about computers, okay? Now, you are an organic computer, and this is a turn inside out reality kind of thing regarding concept of reality and us as computers, okay? Now, we are a mini model of a macro concept, right? So this body, pow, like my stars. Imagine that I am the zodiac, okay? And I am a mini representation of the cosmos, okay, of our universe. And this body is like an inside out, right? Each part is like a computer, okay? Part of it is ancestral memory. Part of it is body mapping, for instance, in psychology and in prosthetics and stuff. They have this thing called a ghost limb. All right, I studied it in psychology. So somebody's in an accident, they lose an arm or a leg, and they still feel like they can feel the thing moving around and functioning like it used to. Ooh. So they call it the ghost limb. And they did extensive research on this ghost limb and found that when it comes to the two different hemispheric sinks of the brain, that the wiring is still there, okay? So, as far as functioning and the wiring in our brain, it's connected to something further, just like feelings and emotions are connected to the hairs that stand up on the back of your neck. That's involuntary. You're not making the hairs go up on the back of your neck, but there they go, just like the heartbeat. It's a telltale. A telltale of what, though? Since we've been desensitized, right? So there's different parts of the body that are in sync with higher functioning is what I'm getting at, regarding us being computers and the unconscious, conscious part of the mind, right? Body mapping. We don't have to remember to make our hearts beat, but yet our hearts beat. But yet, there are people who practice certain disciplines who are able to slow down the functioning of their heart via taking a nice deep breath and letting it out. We can learn to change the patterns of our ordinary daily bodily functions, right? This is a deeper knowing, a deeper penetration of our information, right? So this is your universe, okay? And we're doing like a Hellraiser kind of thing because it's like that cube. There's different parts that do different things, okay? So this is the outside expression of the inside person. We're in here, okay? Is it outer space or is it inner space? Okay? Outer space is inner space. Okay? Our concept of reality has been turned upside down and inside out. Okay? So this part of us, we totally forgot about. We forgot. We left our skin like a snake, right? We forgot about ourselves. We left something behind. They say that we only use a certain portion of our brain. Why is that? They call parts of our DNA junk. Is it just that it hasn't been accessible to us? Because part of accessibility is connectivity. It's the aha. Like, you don't know how to use it. You can't drive a car if you don't know how. If you've never seen one, you don't even know what it is. Perhaps it looks like some metal monster. Perhaps it just looks like a monster if you don't know what metal is. Okay, so we've lost we've lost a major part of the understanding regarding who we are as human beings and what we have access to, right? So different organs in the body play a different part, and we're like a symphony, and even our language is embedded. You could call yourself a Hebrew Israelite. You could call yourself an original Jew. Hitler talked about the Jews, the jewels in America. Check out the history of the Moors. Layering and embedding ancestral history is just a part of us, and the same way that we don't have to remember to make our hearts beat. However, when we tap into a layering, right, when we press certain buttons with a particular intention, it does something different. If I just go like this, it doesn't mean anything. But if I go like this, conceptualizing that my fingertips are an access point to a nervous system, okay? I'm thinking reflexology because I have a deeper meaning of my limbs and my bodily functions. And each time I learn more about my bodily functions, the connectivity adds an embedding. So we learn like computers. You don't stop learning. We're organic computers. We're over 70% water. And water holds in memory. Check out Dr. Moto's research, water research, okay? Where water holds in memory. And we're over 70% water, and we hold in also our ancestral memory within our DNA. It's amazing. Tapping on different parts of ourselves are like access points, like chakra points, okay? Your feet not only connect to the earth, but they also are a part of the reflexology. They also are an access point to your central nervous system. And so if the chakra system is a direct representation of our solar system, okay, via tree of life, and you can track the chakra system through the tree of life, through the colors, right? As far as the anatomy, then you're seeing the different layering to the different parts of our body. And those are our hands and our feet. Also in the ears and the face. So we've lost the knowledge about touch to the point where it's, is the orange guy going to touch somebody's booty again? Or it wasn't the booty, it was, well, is he going to touch something? Is somebody else going to touch something? When are we going to get to touch it? Ooh. To not being imbeciles and tapping into the deeper meaning. Being an organic computer, tapping into the deeper meaning allows us to embed into not only ourselves in a deeper meaning, but the world around us, okay? Being the original people of the planet, a Jew, a Hebrew Israelite, gives a different dimension to the access codes when you think about language and light code beings. When you think of the planetary history, it's a lot easier to understand why there's so much interference and us learning about who we are when you incorporate the Moorish history along with the Hebrew Israelite history. Must include the planetary history. A lot of stuff has still been locked up in the basements of the Vatican. Good day, beloved. Good day, family. Patrick, Mohammed, much love, family. Much love to you and yours. Thank you for being with me. Remember, you guys can also catch me at Regina's Rabbit Hole, Siren Buddha Medicine on YouTube. There are so many videos. I've been doing this for years. There's like at least 6 years worth of videos there, you know, and I could be quite creative trying to figure out ways to help us learn this information. So we are organic computers, and our perception of reality has been turned upside down and inside out. Good day, Robert. Much love to you and yours. Okay? So all that being said, look at this quantum D-wave computers. Okay? Now these people have had such a head start in regards to knowing things about our planetary history. One second. Yeah, so they have had, while we were sleeping, while we were made to sleep, while it was our time to sleep, so we can wake up into the appreciation of who we are and who the Creator is and what the world around us is, by plugging in, by showing appreciation, by embedding. Embedding is appreciation, as being aware of the connectivity to the world around us, not just to ourselves, and it's in layers, like a computer learns. In the same way, they're teaching this AI system. This is the trippy part, right? So we're waking up, and we're waking up to the fact that we're organic computers, and we have our ancestral memory, and we also have a planetary history that we are just, most of us, becoming aware of, or even getting the kahunas to even be able to take a look at. Okay? Dropping the programming, the MK programming. Don't look there, don't touch that, that's taboo, that's bad, that's evil. Meanwhile, the people who are telling us that are saturated. Excuse me. I'm drinking ginger tea. They're saturated in the symbols and in the very dark magic, or the adverse things that they told us to stay away from. Case in point, the pine cone in the courtyard of the Vatican, and a lot of other Egyptian symbolism. So if we're reading that certain things are an abomination and are evil, yet so much of it is copied, like the phalluses and the layout of Washington, D.C., within the Baphomet pentagram, the Oval Office. So much stuff is being not addressed that's right in front of our face regarding dark magic that's used every day. And we co-sign and we reinforce these institutions because that's the plug. It's the MK. That's what we're used to. That's what we know. That was the mind control. So when the lights come on and we find out that we've been co-signing this stuff, it's astonishing. Nobody wants to know that they have been contributing to a deeper level of nonsense, of hurt and pain. And the journey back from that is the redemption. Like, we can't change the things that are wrong if we're not even aware that there was a problem or an issue with it. And within our society, we have certain things that are depicted as norms, which are socially reinforced, which gives you the overall atmosphere in society, gives you the apprehension, like you can't move out of that one way or the other. And so it messes with our programming when we go to look in certain places. It can make us feel really, it can contribute to us feeling extremely apprehensive. It's an aversive thing looking at other cultural dynamics and other scientific or spiritual insights to add to your repertoire so that we get a more deeper understanding. But we don't stop learning. Matter of fact, if we continue to learn, it helps with your cognitive awareness and making connections. It helps with those synapses. It brings us closer, like brain exercises and stuff. You know, if you don't use it, you lose it, kind of thing. All right? So sitting around like the hamster on the wheel, you may have a profession and be locked into a certain mindset. They even say that when people get old, one of the things that keeps them thriving is to learn something new. Learning something new helps with feeling young, staying young, and keeping the brain youthful. If the brain ain't youthful, you don't feel youthful. If we're doing the same things every day and nothing new is coming through, that's a part of our mindset, like a computer. They're always upgrading the computers around us. When do we even upgrade to find out what the freak they upgraded? We don't even want to realize that we're computers. We're organic computers, and take responsibility for our ship, for our terminal, for where stuff takes flight from. If this is my access deck, whatever I am, you have access to just by bumping up against me. Whatever comes out of my mouth right now, you're going to be subjected to, and I to you. Whatever energy you're bringing and what you type, right? That's an exchange of energy. We have a collective memory. We have a organic grid and the atmosphere, which works very similar to like when you send your mail in the cloud. Did it disappear? No, it's like the little boy on Willy Wonka. It can be retrieved through accessing, like we're using man-made material, not appreciating the fact that our Creator made us organic beings in the same way. How fabulous is that? That we can recall, if we only knew where those files were, right? What was that? Where did I put that again? Kind of feeling. Like the hairs standing up on the back of your neck. Ancestral memory. Why do I have that craving? Maybe it's a relative telling you garlic is a good thing right now, or ginger. Why do I want those prunes? Maybe you need a cleansing. It's having a I hate prunes too. That was a really bad example. But you know, there's certain things that you may want. Certain seasonings and things that are part of the ancestral memory. It's a part of pulling down that information. But we are so desensitized and unplugged from ourselves and from this grid of information. source energy. Because being plugged into the planet is like that cube that I was talking about. We're inside out and upside down and backwards. Our information, we don't realize that outside is in. The universe is the universe. And it's embedded. This is the Russian doll. This is the hypercube. You, being a Hebrew, coming from the lineage of the Phoenicians and the Iconian language. The Hebrew language itself is a light code language. We are light code beings. We are light codes in a box, inside a machine, much in the same way that information is inside your laptop. Much in the same way that we can access things from our phones and tablets. And when we tap in to a particular group or source, it's like tapping in the source. When you can hit that ancestral grid and hear from one of the ancients, or tap into your grandmother speaking to you, or your dad, or some other spirit. The landscape. There's different layers and dimensions to it. Okay? Just like there's different dimensions and layers to your fingertips when it comes to reflexology, you know, with the points on your face and on your ears and on your feet. You can tap into the grid and get grounded with your feet, putting your feet in the dirt. Or you can access pressure points through your feet, through massaging your feet, or through tapping on pressure points. That's awareness. Even massage brings about certain different layers to the point where it's erotic, therapeutic, or spiritual, with the connectivity by walking on the ground. And it all depends on how one is touching and what one knows about touch, your repertoire of information, the access point still being the feet. Are you getting this? And the feet being a representation of Geb, that which connects with the earth, that which we need to ground ourselves. Okay? The currency that goes through a computer, they call it electricity. We have a currency that goes through water. And our bodies, like I was saying, is over 70% water. The planet is over 70% water. Water is conscious. They're just trying to figure out now, what in the world is it? What are those? While we're saying, what are those? Laughing about people's sneakers. There's scientists saying, what are those? Looking at raindrops. Testing water droplets and training them. Sticking information in them. Programming them with sound. Putting movies and pictures and stuff inside water and able to retrieve back the fact that they put a whole library inside a few freaking droplets of water. What are those? What is that? Look what we can do to it. Look what we're made of it, what we can do to it, what we're missing, and the access point. Do you think that water, being an intelligent being around us the entire time, how the gestation period of a human being inside water, that being the first port. The safest place for your development, or the worst place according to statistics, if you're a black woman, because we have so many abortions. But once you get in there and the decision is made for you to grow, it's a really safe place to be, isn't it? You know? Conditions hopefully optimal. Now, the inside out thing. We have an ancestral memory and we're waking up and we're attached to the earth grid. There are different dimensions to the body. You can do the same thing that I did with the feet with each and every single part of the body. Has an access point to a higher realm or a different level of understanding regarding that part of the body and what it has access to, what it could possibly even fathom what it could possibly have access to. Like each part is a key. And we're behind schedule and just catching on. Now remember, they have the quantum D-wave computers. If you don't, you should really look this up. It's attached to satellite brain reading technology. These are things that you should really look up. Good day, beloved. Look up. Okay. Satellite brain reading technology. Government stalking, targeted individuals. They use a lot of weapons and stuff, electronic frequency weapons. Look that up. Yeah, and I already said brain to skull technology, right? Where they voice to skull technology. Look that up. These are all things that they're using to interfere with us being able to be rational and focus as we're waking up. There's a whole nother warfare on people who may be waking up and realize that they're connected to the planet. This quantum D-wave mechanics computer is stealing what our Creator naturally gave us. And we're waking up now. Junk DNA? Really? Or was it sleeping DNA? Or was it put to sleep DNA? At one time on the planet, we heavily practiced cloning and DNA tampering, which is how a lot of us got here. That phase where we're in now, where we're like, whoa, look at all the technology, and whoa, look at all the cloning. We had that time already. Look at what they're doing in Antarctic. And the Antarctic and different places have been found where there were ancient technologies that they're still trying to figure out how these things worked. While we were sleeping, they were still finding stuff. I'm peeling layers like a desperate race to uncover things that we're naturally able to plug into once the consonance is right. The embedding has to be right. Or it's like a flumpy piece of junk. You can't use the equipment. You can't fly the machine. All it does is Just came to mind, suck and, hump. We just make babies and go to work and don't do anything else. Make them money via buy whatever they tell us to, whatever's popular in the economy, whatever programmed commercial sticks into our brain, whatever craving fetishes need to be fulfilled. Dunkin' Donuts, cigarettes, soda, Kentucky Fried Chicken. Not community. Run away from our own personal self-development and finding the deeper context of what it is to really touch oneself. That we are a ship, a machine, touching each other, the way we touch each other. And even how I said that, the maturity level, the intellect, the spiritual insight, to put all together what I said about the consciousness grid, ancestral memory, and correcting ourselves. All that a part of our connectivity and embedding, coming back online, making a new groove in this record of history. And so it's like this ripple, this bubble. For instance, there was this research experiment where there was these monkeys. I forget where the monkeys are. I think they might have been Hawaii. I'm not sure. Let's just say it was Hawaii. It could have been Hawaii. I think it was, but I'm not sure. So the little bananas or mangoes or whatever, the mangoes had sand on them, and they're laying on the beach. And the monkeys, they may be monkeys, but they don't like sand on their fruit before they eat them. Who wants sand in their mouth? It takes away the whole experience, right? So supposedly, one of the islanders showed one of the monkeys how to wash the fruit off, right? So you imagine how close do you have to get to a monkey to befriend him enough to even get close enough to you to do some mess like that? Unless they're like the pigeons in New York and they're expecting you better give me some breadcrumbs. Like they go up to the tourists like, you better give me a mango. Wash it off. So anyway, the person washes off the mango and shows it to the monkey. And the monkey ends up learning how to wash off his own mangoes and shows it to his own little close-knit family. Now all of a sudden, because all creatures have a grid of consciousness in the same way that we do, monkeys that weren't even on the island, once the island monkeys learned how to do that, were those same type of monkeys on other islands knew that one skill, how to wash off their mangoes. That one particular skill transcended like a ripple through the consciousness grid. So when we say that we're awakening, it's not just personal, although it's personal. Like the computer, right? This plasma field on this computer, this thing is infectious. And so, for instance, they say that because of the way that they built Washington, D.C., check the Oval Office, that whoever, because of the way the magic is running through there, the energy currents are hooked up. Whoever sits in that seat, that the world follows, or at least our perception of the world in America follows what we're looking at. So if you put a Joker in the seat, we end up with a whole bunch of Batman scenes. I was checking that out. And so that is a mini model of spiritual technology stolen from our ancient sciences, spiritual sciences, that has been used in a perverse and counterproductive way in regards to us. It's doing us no good being used in that manner, unless you can count in the time that it's buying for us to be able to learn. Still, they say all things happen for a reason and nothing by accident. They even said that in the Matrix movie. So we have a ripple, a plasma field. And the same way that you can walk into a room, you can be in a room, and one person walk in and you just feel a good feeling. Oh, who is that? And another person can walk in and you just feel this foreboding feeling, you know? Or maybe it's, oh, here's that MRFer again. Oh, gosh. Here's that Joker again. That feeling just comes up in you. Automatically, it's just like washes over you. That's the harmonics. That's the harmonics. That's the plasma field that's being changed as we're waking up. The consciousness grid, just like those monkeys. For one small thing, every time I learn something, even if I don't share it, part of that ability is in the ancestral grid that we share. We share a big cosmic grid. This energy is there. Energy never dies. It only transfers. And so just like in Willy Wonka, where the little boy was up in the sky, just like when you have a file and you send it in the cloud, the higher perceptions and the deeper abilities for us to comprehend that there's a way to retrieve this information. Good day, beloved. Hi, Curtis. Hi, Erica, Don, Cornell. I'm glad you could join me. It's been a while. All the crazy stuff going on, I haven't really felt like doing any podcasts. Please feel free to catch me at Regina's Rabbit Hole on YouTube. I've been doing more of that over there. Please feel free to donate. I'd really appreciate that. And please feel free to share the information, share the videos, and press like. Usually, if I do them here on Facebook, I transfer them over to the YouTube at Regina's Rabbit Hole, Siren Buddha Medicine, where I can share the information because we're computers. We're computers, and that's what we do. If there's no connectivity, if there's no information circulating, they call that brain dead. A bunch of walking dead, zombies walking around. They have nothing. It's insanity. Doing the same thing, expecting different results. Where's the new stuff? Where's the stuff that we can use to circulate and get different dynamics of what we need to grow? That stuff is the stuff that's being stifled. But they'll throw 1,001 shiny little things at you. Watch out for the shiny-ish, I always say. Because while we're looking at Tinseltown and all the shiny stuff that diverts our attention from the spiritual cleansing or the intellectual rising, or, you know, getting to know ourselves in a deeper way, not in the way that they programmed us to understand each other. That there is an inner verse and an outer verse. We display what it is that's going on in our inner verse into our outer verse. And the same way that a mother brings whatever DNA prospects that she has inside of her seed out into the world. It's just different dimensions of the way that we're looking and perceiving things. And that's why when I started off, I was saying that we are perceiving information and being a computer different. So now they have this CERN thing and quantum D-Waves computers, okay? These supercomputers. And people are scared, and they're making these cyborgs, and they're making these clones, and they're putting these dark entities into the clones and having babies and switching sexes and doing all kinds of stuff in Hollywood. And we've been known that they're using dark magic since we found out years ago that they were putting sexual subliminal messages within the cartoons and stuff that we sat our little children down to watch, that we ourselves sat down and watched. Who knew? Well, we know now. But many of us will still watch their latest really cool movie that came out. Desensitized, programmed. It's a part of our culture. Like I was saying, it's a social norm. And just because something is a social norm doesn't necessarily mean that it's okay. But understanding it better changes the dynamics in the way the consciousness grid and the way the information is shared. We may not tend to be so trusting as a group anymore regarding certain things, although we still may be saturated in them, and that itself changes the way that we interact with it, and the way that thing has to interact with us, and the way that it needs to adjust now to this thing we called reality, which is just basically a giant computer. So now, here's the trippy part, right? I'm listening to how they're programming all these computers, and they're putting dark spirits in them, and looking at the Terminator and Sophia Stewart's book, The Matrix. Check out The Matrix book, part 4. Really cool. She did that for us because they kept messing with the Matrix book once they got a handle on it. And do you know how they like to make something work for their agenda and not developing and increasing our potential as a people? It's usually the other way around. And I was thinking of Dr. Francis Scott Wesling's ISIS papers and the fear of genetic annihilation. That fear makes people do very stupid, horrible things. But as a community, as an awakening community, as people who call themselves higher minds, higher development, higher thinking, the stuff that was pulled during the ISIS, the stuff that was pulled during the Civil Rights Movement, the Black Panther Party, and Martin Luther King, and all our leaders are dead kind of theme. What was that? Tasaki 269? Who said that song? All our leaders are, from that line, all our leaders are gone, are dead. So anyway, I forgot what I was going to say at that point. So sad. It can be so discouraging, right? And want us to stay in a particular frame of mind where we're only thinking about, that's the program, where you're only thinking about that so no one else steps outside the box and does what's necessary to incorporate different information and want to stay on. They want you to stay on certain dimensions of the information so that you don't get deeper, more into the spiritual realms of things, outside of skin and into the soul, where you can see any man. You too can be Killmonger, where it's between just you and the Creator. And then as with that ripple, right? Within these social dynamics, that ripple, that change that we do within ourselves, that's genuine for ourselves, for me, just for me, between me and the Creator, between me and God. When that's real, nothing you do can make me step off my square. I mean, you really got to be coming at me hard to make me change my dynamics. And then I would still be righteous if it means protecting me, knowing that I'm a symbol of the Creator, right? We don't just let ourselves be squashed, because we're here as the medicine. And the medicine got to get to the people. So we start to appreciate ourselves more and see each other as the medicine. Each one teach one. We are the computer, changing the consciousness grid, changing each other. Changing the story of history as we add on to it and step out of those social dynamics and those norms, which makes it adverse for us to look at other dimensions of information, spiritual sciences. So the computer is us. So the trippy thing is, I'm looking at how they're programming this computer with the algorithms. I'm looking at how they're comparing Sophia, that computer. Oh, there's a demon inside of Sophia. And the ones that they're putting in the clones are from the dark side and from the outer realms of this computer churn. So is this a misdirection going on here? Because from what I understood, right, we're awakening. The DNA is awakening, and there's a choice. There's dark ones, and there's ones that are not in that direction. In the same way, with every currency, with every current, is money evil? No. What you do with money can be considered evil, or it can be considered used for something that's not counterproductive, right? Something mutually beneficial, something very helpful, something therapeutic even. All energy is like that. So they took our energies, scared us to death with it, scared the mess out of us with it, told us not to look at that, not to touch that, and then they took it and used it for counterproductive means. So every time we look at it, we say, oh, the light. What was that creature? Oh, who does that? Vampires. No, the light. Don't show me the light. We're the ones who don't want to see it, but it's right in our face most of the time. A lot of times I still don't want to see it. It's heavy. Light weighs, by the way. It is heavy. Ever just want some shade so you can chill? The sun be beating on your head. Like, pow, 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 pow. But we are light code beings. We are a light code frequency, a composition even, of what the Creator allotted for your mother's seed. During that composition, that's your date of birth, your dated time of arrival, and her genetic code along with your dad's genetic code. That seed is the fallen star. The genetic code straight out the sky. According to the frequencies, energy never dies, it only transfers. It got a ship. It was able to get a body inside your mother's womb. This composition that our Creator gave to your ma. A ba for your ka. A spirit for your vessel. That's 70%, over 70% water. But told you information. The light inside of this carbon-based vessel, like a record. There's different dimensions of us, different compositions of us. We happen to be the composition that they said is the higher one. Well, we can reason. I don't see how I fathom that I understand that as much when even in ancient times we learned from animals. Karate, the crane, the monkey, right? We learned from following the buffalo, where the food trails were, looking for what the deers ate. A lot of our survival depend on coexisting with the animals and not chasing them away long enough to figure out how they survived so that we could share some of their food and their environment to survive. Oh, but now we're so freaking intelligent. I don't see how. When we kill, we're killing off the world around us and don't even have the intelligence enough to realize what we knew back then, which is the environment sustains us. So at least we sit still and watch it and appreciate it long enough to get fed. Now we got Mickey D's. They call us the microwave generation, right? We want it now. We want it fast. We want our shiny-ish. And it's stabbing us in the back. It's taking us away from the connectivity. Even the foods and stuff. Everything is geared. Everything is geared and being reared to take us away from our ability to plug in. To keep us desensitized. To keep looking for a big booty and a smile. Instead of what that smile and big booty actually have access to. On deeper spiritual, metaphysical freaking realms. And real space-time. Each part of the body is connected to another dimension or aspect of thinking, even when it comes to health. And so we're waking up. The ancestral memory is waking up. The DNA is waking up. That part of the brain, they say we only use 20% of our brain. They said we have junk DNA. But these are the parts that are waking up. If we stay away from certain things, we have more access to via those parts of the body that I was just explaining. This is the secret. This is the part that they don't want us to know. We're not even supposed to plug into why do the hairs on the back of our neck stand up. We're still getting with the ability to be able to relax into that. To give ourselves permission to learn and to explore those areas that they told us, shh, hush, no, don't touch it. It's evil, it's bad. It says right here in section code number 73 of whatever book you're using. Maybe not said exactly like that, but somewhere, right? You get what I mean. Okay. So sleight of hand, on one end, I'm looking at these stories of how they're putting demonic spirits in the babies and they're being born with blue eyes and black-eyed babies and the clones. And Shern and how demonic presences are coming through Shern. And time machines and stuff like that. Yes, they're desperately trying to counteract the influences of us plugging into the natural earth grid. The big secret is right up all in our face. All we got to do is look and put certain pieces and aspects together, and then don't let your mind blow up, because it's mind blowing. Be able to sustain the heaviness of that light code frequency. Hold your ground and repeat it back to someone like you know it, like it's true, like you did your research, like you believe it because you did. Not because someone told you, but because you looked into those things that I said, look up. There was a whole list of stuff that if you don't know what it is, look it up. Just look at it. Just watch it, skim through some videos, get an idea. Plug in, start to change, start to plug into your ability to change the consciousness grid just by being willing. What? Being willing brings in correspondence, right? You know you want it. You want this information because you're here. But in a positive direction, not in a negative one. So, they have their demonic presences and dominions that they've been using to keep Earth and their grips, what the Clone Wars, Minions. It's like Star Wars. You could pick different movies at different times for the programming to be able to try to fathom and comprehend how this could even happen. Like certain movies show disclosure. They help with being able to even fathom certain things like Dune. And the other movie that I mentioned, The Matrix and The Terminator by Sophia Stewart. We're on different layers of time, and our ancestors knew that this was going to happen to us. You know, that there was going to be slavery, that we would lose our abilities, that it was all said. It was carved in the stone walls and stuff. It's in every freaking culture on earth. The story is written. Talk about a dream board. Was it written into existence? Like the Matrix movie where Neo knocks over the vase on the table. And he said, how did you know I was going to do that? And she said, the real spooky part is, would you had did it if I hadn't mentioned it first? Would you had knocked it over if I hadn't mentioned it first? We know about dream boarding. That's also a part of our ancient sciences. Which came first? The horse or the the egg or the chicken? The chicken or the egg, right? I was going to say the horse or the buggy. The horse came first, of course. There'd be no need for a buggy, right? That kind of answers the chicken and the egg too, right? Why is there a need for the egg if you don't like the chicken? Anyway. So they have things that they've been pulling from in regards to the dark magic and information and channeling, right? And divination, okay? The dark sorcerers and wizards and stuff like that, witches that have been being used around us this entire time. And we didn't know it. And they're helping to pull the wool over our sheep's eyes and keep us corralled into a certain fenced-in way of thinking and being. Even using fluoride in the water to keep us docile, so you don't make too much noise. But there's a lot of stories going around of slaughter on the outer edges. On the outer rims, you're seeing people being taken down. But I like to remember, 1,000 shall fall at your side and 10,000 at your right hand, but it shall not come near thee. My rod and staff shall comfort me. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil. The Psalms. I used to think, how do you get there? Sitting in the church, feeling like a hypocrite. I was feeling like a hypocrite. Thinking, how the freak do you get there? I needed something more substantial in here to feel than what was going on for me. So how do I get there? For me, how do I give myself permission to live outside of that aspects of what they told me is the social sanction? How do I get my computer to leave that field and go into another dimension of thinking? Is a whole another quantum thing. You're in a whole world by yourself when you do that, when you break the social norms. Especially when you start learning about the power of the consciousness grid and the power of group thought and stuff. So I'm not saying, yeah, this is going to be easy. It's not. It could be very difficult. It can feel very taxing. It can feel like it's weighing you down. But it's necessary. It's a necessary part of our purging thing. And it's like each one teach one. You go off by yourself and you'll learn things that are particularly exclusive to you and your creator if you do it right. You'll just be getting close to whatever aspects that, those inner voices and stuff. And as long as it's pertaining to purging and not getting, it's shedding. It's emptying things out. Not necessarily the getting. Because we're told to pray to get stuff. Prayer warriors. Prayer, not realizing that prayer is to pray. That we're sending entities from one space to another via language. Hebrew Israelites, light code being. Hebrew language being a light code. You are a light code being. These words are alive. The water is alive. The elements and the aspects of who we are as a human being. Light code frequency, hue. Hue as in rainbow. Hue as in different dimensions of light. A hue man, your carbon being. We have a collaboration already with the baddest forces in the universe. What? Fire, water, earth, air, and ether. We don't need to be segmented. We don't need to be separated, but yet here we are trying to figure it out. I'm trying to figure it out still. As a computer, as a human being, as a light code being, as a light code aware that it can change the way that it's being. Because I work like a computer. We are an organic computer. Water holds in memory. The body holds in memory. Remember I was talking to you about the ghost limbs and brain mapping. Practice something over, how many hours? And it becomes a part of your body mapping, a part of your memory via repetition. Remember learning how to write in school your letters over and over and over again? Reading the same words over and over and over and over again until we get the shape and get it. Till we get it. We've just been shaped into a particular groove that's non-beneficial and we don't realize it. So even the way that our society works and incorporates information and new things is counterproductive. It's the new things that wash away stuff that we deem viruses. Not keep out the new stuff and keep the viruses. Hence the medical community. What? That's changing, thank goodness. Now we need to change things. Sciences is spiritual sciences. Sciences is spiritual. Spirituality is scientific. There's different dimensions to this ish. What? And it's all in perception and the different layers, the data mining. These computers are copying us. We copy the animals. You sit and watch and you put data input. Say the computers want to be us. We're afraid of the computers. Who's afraid of the computers? It's not the people making the computers. They're not afraid of the computers, but they're making the computers, but they're afraid of people. Are they insane? They're making the computers to police people, but they're not afraid of computers. Do they know something we don't know? Do they also know that we're computers and are more afraid of us, organic computers, who can directly affect this organic life force plasma field around us made out of water, fire, water, earth, air, and ether? The embedding is us, not the computer. The computer can hold information about us in the same way that we can hold information about the animals in the world around us. We're still learning. We still need to learn from freaking animal life and environments that we don't know about, and even environments we do know about. We have to watch the animal life and the way that they get along before we go in there. You still take canaries into the coal mine. They're still looking at underwater life and the deep sea to understand the dynamics of the water pressure and, you know, the kind of things that are available, how these beings came about to explain the environment. Go down into the ocean and see hot water caverns just bubbling up where the water is constantly hot. But yet they saw a fish down there. I'm watching this documentary, this ocean, deep water, freaking tropical environment. And so there's sulfur, and there's only a certain kind of fish. Certain kind of fishes that can live in this particular environment. And because it's so volatile, the antennas went up. And they're like, well, how does it do that? How does it do that? And they want to go searching around, messing around in the environment to figure out how does it do that. Why are there certain beings on the planet that are so curious in a volatile way? Not in a way where they're coexisting, but in a way that's disruptive. It's ignorance, and then labeling ourselves as intelligent. That's not the way that we do it. That's not the way our ancestors tell me we do it, through the ancestral memory. That'd be humming and talking all the time if we're not desensitized. And so we are computers. We do hold in information. You could be raised by somebody entirely different, and because you have the DNA of your mother and father, behave just like them. That's also ancestral DNA, and that's an idea, an example of it, but only go deeper. How diseases skip certain generations, and even twins. How certain genetic dispositions will do that. They'll skip over and decide, boom, okay, you. How it says in the Bible that certain lineages or bloodlines are blessed or cursed. Was it speaking of genetic dispositions? In the book of Solomon, it talks about demons that affect genetic dispositions. Certain shaman and certain other cultures who have a different spiritual sciences other than the ones that we have here in America will say that dis-ease is about dis-ease. It's about having dis-ease in your life. And that those counterproductive feelings get stuck into the different parts of your body. That's also another dimension of explaining how we get sick. And how that also can be released, can be unlodged, can be cleansed by those access points too, if you know what they are and you believe it. There's been people capable of healing themselves by meditation alone. Believing themselves whole, having cancer. This one woman had cancer. So I used to do research about meditations and stuff, alternative medicines. And she imagined a giant white light of Pac-Man eating her cancer cells away. And was still there to talk about it years later. These are people that were told to go home and call it a day. Write your will, go home, call it a day, get comfortable, and just get ready to check out. Imagine being told something like that. And so they had to access a different point in their spirituality. They had to pull up something else on their terminal, on their computer terminal. They had to let something else fly regarding information in order to access that. They had to at least believe that something was capable and go for a cruise and some other type of information to find alternative medicines. And some of those remedies started out with sure meditation to conceptualize believing. Even in the Bible and in other spiritual things tools that we have here in America, it talks about the first principle is believing, right? Believing that it can happen. We even have placebos, right? So the brain is a very complex, intricate tool or hindrance, depending on the way we look at it and what we're doing, how we appreciate it. Compassion is a part of appreciation. Realizing that this breath, your breath, is a part of the actual landscape, as part of the connectivity and access point. Because we're breathing out the carbon dioxide. I've shared this with you. That feeds the trees, and the trees give us oxygen. We also have dreams and hopes and abilities, things that we say with our mouth, things that we dream, things that come out of our aura that we're sharing with the trees. And they're stationary and we're not. So that they're living through us. We have a symbiotic relationship. When we die, the foliage, the life, the green terra, the foliage on the planet has fed us, nurtured us in some form or another, whether it's through oxygen, grounding, food source. And we feed it back, not just with our carbon dioxide, but also with our corpses. Because our decomposition feeds the trees and the landscape. The very bones and rocks will cry out. Do you know that bones are one of the things that are used to filter out some of the most harsh chemicals in water? You think of our landscape and our big open sources of fresh water. Think of our ancestors and stuff that are buried. It's that we're more entwined and more a part of this cosmic computer, this organic computer, than we realize that we are. And by knowing how the computer's functions work is not too much unlike knowing how computer programs on your laptop work, or how to make a certain thing that you're using function, like the car example that I gave. Car means nothing to you if you can't drive it. I don't drive. I know what it is, and I know how it functions. I even know models and stuff like that, but I'm not driving. I'll walk and I can take a bus. Do you see what I mean? Each one teach one. I still get to where I'm going. Somebody's driving, but it's not me. But that doesn't mean that the information that I'm carrying isn't needed by somebody down the road or even the driver. That's the way we kind of fit into this consciousness grid too. Each one teach one doesn't mean that we're all going to be doing the same thing. And that's why the spiritual journey in regards to accessing information is very personal. It's not the typical egotistical showboat, put some kind of letters and, you know what I'm saying, put an acronym in back of your name or something. It's not about that. Put some letters in front, you know, MD. It really is a personal thing between you and your creator, or even the name that you want to call your creator. Some people call their creator God. And even your journey to searching up your etymology and ciphering on what you're harmonizing with and calling God or Christ Jesus or Buddha or whatever it is that you're serving. You're praying means to pray, to hunt. And so on the earth plane, we have our ancestral memory inside the earth. We're exchanging energies constantly without even realizing it. But by realizing it, just like a placebo kind of thing, but not a placebo. It's a supernatural thing. This is the energy that was taken away, that was steered away from us. This is what they've been controlling, that they told us not to. They told us to look away. But they have dark wizards and sorcerers all over the place controlling the consciousness grid with pentagrams and using frequency and harmonizing, using the consciousness grid and our ignorance against us. I have some things popping up. Yeah, so I just wanted to spend the time today to talk about how we have the wrong idea, most of us, about consciousness and information and computers. That we are computers. We're organic computers. We're just not really, it's not really clicking for most of us. How we learn, why we're learning, that you get a computer for different things, right? So if it's IBM or if it's a bank or if it's a home computer, it's for different reasons. If it's an airport, you have different systems for different reasons. These computers they're talking about, they're using and accessing like the big boy. This quantum D-wave computers, it's got access to all information, everything. The biggest computer on the planet, attached to CERN. And it takes a whole bunch of other computers just to relay the information through a superhighway so that they can control it and do what they do to it. They're pulling this information from all kinds of places. You should check on that too. I mean, there's videos and stuff that I've watched. There's just plenty of information on YouTube and on the internet. We just have to want to look for it. Yep, so you are a computer. And there's already been DNA changes and stuff like that on the planet. And the ancient planetary history, they don't want us to know, because that empowers us with the information that I'm giving, sharing with us now. And that is that we have a direct plug to the planet. And that's what they're trying to, that's what they have been usurping our energy with, you know. Those demons and stuff, like, we're actually making choices to have them by way of choosing. See, we're not realizing what the plug is, or what we're actually plugging into with certain spiritual energies that are part of our social cultural norms. We're plugging into things that are clogging up our source energy, our ability to empathize with each other, to touch each other spiritually more. I'm glad my family is watching. Actually, my sister and my mother. And a lot of other viewers that watch me. I'm really glad to see you tonight. I've been really struggling at times to stay cheerful about feeling I've been appointed as, you know, one of the front runners to bring you this kind of information. It's not easy. But I am grateful. I'm grateful, you know, for the opportunity to be one of the ones to bring this information, right? I'm grateful for everybody that came before me that gives me information and shares with me and that supports me. Remember, you can find me at Regina's Rabbit Hole on YouTube. This is, excuse me. Ooh, this is Siren Buddha Medicine. We were talking about computers and information, and we are organic computers, and that we have things upside down and inside out regarding our perception of reality with these computers and where we fit in it. So that's a little taste. Hopefully you got a lot out of it, and just glad to be here with you. I'm out.